I'm having to put together some stray thoughts, and like Brother Hovind, I'm sure it's kind of like hitting a moving target. You know, you don't know where you're going. But what I would like to do is take a quick look at one of the comments that Brother Hovind made, and that is that his God is powerful enough to do anything. And I think we need to be careful with that type of Aquinan logic. I do agree that God has ultimate power. In other words, that He is the most powerful of any conceivable being in the universe. But we have to be careful of impugning to God the capacity to do things that He has not claimed. We have to be careful about ascribing to God things that He cannot do. Could He make a stick with only one end? No, a stick has two ends on it. It's because that's an illogical contradiction for God to do something like that. Can He make a rock that He couldn't lift? Okay? No, it's a logical contradiction for God to do something like that. And so we need to be careful of ascribing to God those things that He has not claimed. And so when I take a look at how powerful God is, and Brother Hovind says his God is powerful enough to do it in 6 days, and that my God is inept because I claim a God that did it in 17 billion years, I have to say, well then, why not 7 nanoseconds? Or why didn't He just do it instantly? Boom! Because for whatever reason, in the chronology that's described in the Scriptures, it follows a sequence. And the writers of the chronology put some devices on it for us to remember. My particular belief is that those devices were terms. Those particular terms included the word day, yom. It's perfectly consistent within the Scriptures to interpret the term day as a 12-hour period, a 24-hour period, or a long period of time. Elsewhere through Genesis, for example, the term day is used in reference to the harvest time. Or, we might say Abraham Lincoln in his day. It's a natural thing for us to use terminology like that. It's used throughout the Scriptures in many, many multiple of occasions, and it's not wrong for us to take it in this context. Why is it then that I have chosen to take the context somewhat differently than the one that seems to show the most powerful God? Because as I showed earlier, I am working from what is called a dual revelational paradigm. The dual revelational paradigm believes that God put His truth in place and that it's true in both places. That He put nature in place and He communicates from us truly with nature. He put His Word in place, and He communicates with us truly in His Word. And I believe you occasionally have to set the two of those side by side, and that you have to use a systematic theology to look at those things and say, if nature is saying this, if the Word is saying this, and if there is an apparent contradiction, do we reconcile it? Or do we walk away from it? I believe that it's necessary for us to make that reconciliation. Because if we don't make that reconciliation, what we have, in effect, is a universe that sent us light over 17 billion light years away. It is moving away from us, as Dr. Hovind has suggested. And since it is moving away from us, it's expanding. And that light has gotten to us after about 17 billion years, and we're observing it now. For us to have observed it any sooner than that, either the events on the outside edge of that travel never occurred or were fictitiously made by God for us to observe them that way, or they actually happened at that distance and that amount of time away from us. I believe that God communicates His Word in truth. There are numerous examples of this. I could list just a few: Psalms 104, Psalms 139, Job 38:41. But my need is to take a look at this concept of a long day. The first chapter of Genesis declares that within 6 days, God's miraculously transformed a formless void, the earth, into a suitable habitat for mankind. The meaning for day here has become the center of the controversy. Does it or does it not make for a conflict between the Scripture and science? The answer to that depends upon whether the time periods indicated are 24 hours or in the order of millions of years. Many scientists and many Bible scholars would agree that the correct and literal interpretation for the creation day is one that takes into account definitions, context, grammar, and relevant passages in other parts of Scripture. All we're trying to do is take a systematic approach to this. In fact, one of the problems I have with the approach to the Scriptures that take one verse out of a series and apply it to all of our life is the failure to do a systematic approach to the Scriptures. Because you see, even the Scriptures, on occasion, have items in them that you look at and you say, it just said this. I'll give you an example in Proverbs. Do not answer a fool according to his folly, or he will despise you. The very next verse it says, answer a fool according to his folly, or he will despise you. Are we wrong in taking both of those as correct? Isn't one or the other true? The fact of the matter is that the Scriptures intend for us to take both as true. And I believe that the Scriptures are also saying that